Hi everybody, I'm Jim Stavridis, the Dean at the Fletcher School of Law and Diplomacy, and it's fall in New England. The scenery is gorgeous, and I'm here with one of our incredibly talented professors, Yoon Lee, who is also an alumni. He is a graduate and a Fletcher PhD, teaches a wide variety of Asian-focused courses here, and was a student of John Perry for many years. First and foremost, you're probably wondering why we're wearing our origami cranes today. It's because we were presented these by the Japan Club following a conversation that Yoon and I led about a recent trip he and I went on to Asia. We went to Japan and to South Korea, and it was frankly an eye-opener for me in a lot of different ways. So I'm going to ask just a couple of questions to kind of set this trip in perspective, and I really want to start with North Korea because I think we've both heard a lot about the young leader. We see more and more his ability to deliver weapons as well as having nuclear weapons. What is the perception of North Korea in the region at the moment, Yoon?
Unfortunately, as in other parts of the region, other parts of the world, I mean, there is the view that North Korea, especially the young leader, is either laughable, he's a joke, or that he's a child. Therefore, we tend to easily be dismissive of North Korea. And I think that kind of patronizing view, not taking the growing North Korean threat, its growing lethality seriously, is not in our interest. North Korea is a serious threat to the region, to US interests all over the world, and their ability to one day demonstratively combine a nuclear-tipped warhead with a long-range missile that can hit the United States, that capability is growing apparently.
It is, and in our conversations, you'll recall with General Scaparrotti, the four-star military commander there, he is very concerned about not only the nuclear capability, but a growing conventional capability on the peninsula as well. Let me turn to something in a more positive light, which is, as we were there in Japan and South Korea, we heard of the agreement on the Trans-Pacific Partnership. 12 nations, including Japan and the United States, but not including South Korea. Some thoughts on that?
Maybe South Korea imagines itself not a Pacific power. No, it's inevitable.
Right.
South Korea will join. And I think the timing was not in South Korea's interest. That is, South Korea has been sort of hedging. Understandably, South Korea has a very sensitive and important relationship with China. At the same time, of course, South Korea's sole treaty ally is the United States. There is this unfortunate perception in Washington, not completely unfounded, that South Korea has been moving too close to China and slightly inching away from the United States.
Well, I guess the good news, of course, is that President Park did come to visit Washington, and so, as always, for a nation like South Korea, it's a matter of balance. But I think at the end of the day, from a U.S. perspective, we look at South Korea as a central ally for us, and we hope that'll continue to be a strong linchpin of American foreign policy in the region. Well, speaking of President Park, even as we are making this video today, for the first time in 3 years, President Park has met with Prime Minister Shinzo Abe of Japan. Does this signal a bit of a warming in the relations between those two partners and friends in the region, but occasionally source of tension?
I think the past 3 years have been we've seen a nadir in Japan-South Korea relations since the normalization of relations 50 years ago. Early in 2014, the ASEAN Institute, a major think tank in Seoul, did a survey of South Koreans' likability rating of all the leaders of the North Pacific. President Obama, as expected, came in first, highest at 8 point something, 1 being the least likable, 10 being the most likable. Perhaps some of our viewers will not guess who came in second in the eyes of the South Koreans. Xi Jinping.
I was going to guess President
at 6 point something, and then Putin at 3 point something, and scraping the bottom of the barrel were the North Korean leader and the Japanese Prime Minister.
Ouch.
And that kind of convoluted triangular relations among South Korea, North Korea, and Japan shows the fraught historical relationship between South Korea and Japan. But I think this is a welcome step forward. It's a step forward in the right direction. Yeah,
and I think what I heard both in South Korea and Japan, despite the historic tensions, was a sense out of both countries that their economies were too big for there not to be a strength in that relationship. And I like to think the fact that the U.S. is a treaty ally with both of them is crucial. Does that make sense?
It's been essential, this US-led security structure in Northeast Asia, where you have three democracies, the United States, Japan, and South Korea on one side during the Cold War, and China, Russia, or the Soviet Union, and North Korea on the other side. That dynamic still remains in place today and will for the foreseeable future.
Yoon, what a pleasure as always.
Thank you.
Always great to have a Fletcher PhD on the faculty, and especially one so knowledgeable as Professor Lee. Thank you.
Thank you very much.